Psalm 91, a teaching.
Introduction. Psalm 91 is one of the most quoted passages in the entire Bible. In hospital rooms, on battlefields, in moments of fear, people reach for these words instinctively, and rightly so. The promises here are extraordinary. But there is something most readers miss when they come to this psalm in translation. The Hebrew text is doing something far more precise than the English suggests. There is a covenant structure here, a relationship with two parties, each genuinely present to the other. Understanding that structure does not make the promises smaller. It makes them larger and more real. We are going to move through the psalm in 5 sections. The first establishes the foundation, my refuge, the dwelling place and its cover. The second is a covenantal declaration, you shall not fear. The third introduces a striking image, with your eyes, the sheltered one as witness. The fourth makes the protection visible and active, his angels commanded and sent. And the fifth is the heart of everything. He clings the moment when God himself speaks. Section 1, verses 1 to 4.
The one dwelling in the secret place of the Most High. In the shadow of Shaddai he lodges. I say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God, I trust in him. For he will deliver you from the snare of the fowler, from the pestilence of destruction. With his pinion he will cover you, and under his wings you will seek refuge. A shield and buckler, his faithfulness.
These 4 verses establish the entire foundation of the psalm. Before any promise is made, before any threat is named, the psalm describes someone who is already sheltered. The protection does not come first, the relationship does.
Verse 1. The one dwelling in the secret place of the Most High, in the shadow of Shaddai he lodges. The psalm opens with a present participle, not the one who once dwelt, or the one who visits when afraid, but the one who is currently, habitually, continuously dwelling. The Hebrew word is yo-shev, from the root meaning to sit, to settle, to take up residence. This is someone who has moved in. Not a tourist passing through, but a resident. Where does this person dwell? In the Seter, the secret place, the hidden shelter. In the Hebrew Bible, this word is used of the innermost sanctuary of the tabernacle, the most protected space, the place closest to God's presence. This is not a geographical location. It is a posture of life, a way of being oriented toward God continuously rather than only in crisis. Jesus drew on this same image in Matthew 6 when he taught his disciples to pray, "Go into your inner room, shut the door, and meet your Father in secret." The instruction is not about finding a physical room. It is about cultivating the posture Psalm 91 describes, the one who has learned to dwell in the hidden place of relationship with God, continuously, not only in crisis. The second verb deepens this. Yit lo nan. He lodges. From the root meaning to spend the night, to stay when it is dark. The implication is clear. The sheltered one does not leave when circumstances become difficult. He remains in the shadow of Shaddai through the night, through the hard seasons, through the silence. Now notice the 2 names of God in this single verse. Elyon, Most High. This establishes the absolute, vertical dimension of who stands behind this covenant. In the ancient world, every territory had its local gods. But Elyon declares something absolute. There is no power above this God. No threat exists outside his jurisdiction. In Shaddai, the name revealed to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God who is more than enough in the wilderness. The shadow of Shaddai is not passive protection. It is a life-giving environment, sustaining as well as covering.
Verse 2. I say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God, I trust in him. The psalm suddenly shifts to first person. The one being described steps forward and speaks. This is not accidental, it is the psalm's first movement from observation to personal declaration. The psalmist is not describing someone else's shelter. He is inhabiting it himself, and he says so out loud. Two more names of God appear here. Adonai, the Lord, the personal covenant name. The God of the burning bush, the God who said, I will be who I will be. By invoking this name, the speaker moves from God is powerful to God is mine. And Elohai, my God, possessive. The cosmic creator of Genesis becomes personal guardian. The one who brought order from chaos becomes the protector of this specific life. For names in 2 verses, Elyon, Shaddai, Adonai, Elohim. Each carries its own weight, sovereignty, sufficiency, personal covenant relationship, creative authority. The psalmist is not being poetic for its own sake. He is building a foundation, establishing exactly who stands behind everything that follows.
Verses 3 and 4. For he will deliver you from the snare of the fowler, from the pestilence of destruction. With his pinion he will cover you, and under his wings you will seek refuge. A shield and buckler, his faithfulness. The pronoun he in verse 3 is emphatic in Hebrew, a doubling that says, this one specifically, none other. The same God named 4 times in the opening 2 verses is the one who delivers. The images that follow are intimate and tactile. A bird covering its young with its feathers. Wings extended over the sheltered one. And then a shield and buckler. The protection is tender and total simultaneously. Soft enough to comfort, strong enough to stop arrows. But what is the shield made of? Not power, not omnipotence. His faithfulness, his reliability, amito. The Hebrew word here is emet, not primarily an emotion or a promise, but something closer to truth, solidity, firmness, what does not give way. The shield is the sheer reliability of who God is. We are not protected by our grip on God. We are protected by his grip on us. The shield is his character, not our performance.
Section 2, verses 5 to 7.
You shall not fear from the terror of night, from the arrow that flies by day, from the pestilence that walks in darkness, from the destruction that ravages at noon. 1,000 will fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand. To you it shall not come near.
The fourfold structure of threat in these verses covers every hour and every direction. Nothing is excluded. But the psalm's response is not that the threats will disappear. It is that you shall not fear them.
Verse 5. You shall not fear from the terror of night, from the arrow that flies by day. Night and day. Hidden attack and open assault. The psalm covers both poles of the ancient battlefield. In our own lives, the anxieties that come in darkness and the visible crises of daylight. Both are addressed. Notice the form of the statement. Not, do not worry, not psychological advice. You shall not fear, a covenantal declaration. Fear loses its final claim on the one who has made the Lord his refuge. This is not because fear has no basis in reality. The one who has stood before the God whose name is Elyon and Elohim, the Most High and the Creator, has already encountered what is most awe-inspiring in existence. This is what Scripture calls the fear of God, the creatures recognizing before whom they stand, and discovering that this encounter quietly displaces every lesser fear. For what drives fear in the world is the sense of a power over us that is threatening, and nothing is more powerful, more real, more present than the one named in verses 1 and 2.
Verse 6. From the pestilence that walks in darkness, from the destruction that ravages at noon. The four threats together, terror of night, arrow of day, pestilence of darkness, destruction of noon, form a complete circle. Every hour, every direction, every mode of attack. The sheltered one is not promised exemption from a world where these things exist. He is promised that none of them has the final word over his life.
Verse 7. 1,000 will fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, to you it shall not come near. The contrast is stark. 1,000 fall, 10,000 fall, and the sheltered one stands. Not because he is stronger or immune, but because God is with him. He has chosen to dwell in the secret place, and protection comes with that dwelling. Where God is present, the one who lives there is covered.
Section 3, verses 8 to 10.
Only with your eyes you will look, and the recompense of the wicked you will see.
For you, Lord, are my refuge.
Most high, you have set your dwelling place.
No evil will befall you,
And no plague will come near your tent.
This section introduces a striking image, the sheltered one as witness. He sees what destruction looks like from safety.
Verse 8. Only with your eyes you will look, and the recompense of the wicked you will see. This is not gloating. It is witness. The one who abides in the secret place sees clearly what the alternative looks like, precisely because he is not consumed by it. There is a clarity that comes from being sheltered. You can see what you are sheltered from.
Verse 9. For you, Lord, are my refuge, most high you have set your dwelling place. The first-person voice returns, as it did in verse 2. This is deliberate. The security of verses 8 to 10 is not automatic. It is grounded in the same relational choice named at the psalm's beginning. But the second half of the verse opens something deeper. The Hebrew reads, Most High, Samtha, Mionika. You have set, a dwelling place. There is no explicit object. And the grammar answers the first question immediately. The you, who is named as refuge at the beginning, you, Adonai, is the same you who acts at the end. God is the subject throughout. He has set the dwelling place. Many translations made the worshipper the subject instead, smoothing out what was surprising. But the Hebrew resists that move. So the deeper question is not who said it, but for whom. The secret place of verse 1, the cedar, the innermost sanctuary, is not a neutral shelter the worshipper stumbled into. It is a space God himself constructed, inhabits, and has now set as a dwelling for the one who clings to him. The worshipper moved into God's own house. This logic, God choosing where he dwells rather than the worshipper establishing it, is already present in 2 Samuel 7. When David proposed to build a house for God, God reversed it, I will not dwell in a house you build. I will build a house, for you, which means, your lineage, your descendants. The initiative and the choice of dwelling belong to God, not to the worshipper. Psalm 91 verse 9 leads us in the same direction. And there is something more. If God has set this dwelling place, and the one who clings to him lives within it, then the shelter is not only the worshipper dwelling in God. It is God dwelling in the worshipper. The covering goes both ways. This is what the New Testament will draw out fully, the body as temple, the believer as the place where God takes up residence. But the seed is already here, in this single open line of Psalm 91.
Verse 10. No evil will befall you and no plague will come near your tent. The word for tent here is ohel, the dwelling place of a person's life. The protection extends to everything that belongs to the sheltered one. His household. His sphere of life. The covering is not narrow.
Section 4, verses 11 to 13.
For his angels he will command concerning you, to guard you in all your ways. On their palms they will lift you up, lest your foot strike against a stone. Upon the lion and the cobra you will tread. You will trample the young lion and the serpent.
The protection now becomes active and visible. Angels commanded, palms extended, foot preserved. This is the most dramatic section of the psalm and the most misused.
Verses 11 and 12. For his angels he will command concerning you, to guard you in all your ways. On their palms they will lift you up, lest your foot strike against a stone. The word command is military language, a formal order from the commander of heaven's armies. The scope is comprehensive, all your ways. Every moment of vulnerability. Every decision. Every path. These verses were quoted by Satan in the wilderness, Matthew chapter 4. He quoted them accurately, word for word. So what did he get wrong? He removed the context. Satan proposed that Jesus throws himself from the temple pinnacle to trigger the angelic rescue, to test God rather than trust him, to demand proof rather than to rest in relationship. The promise is real. But the psalm describes the natural consequence of dwelling in covenant relationship. What Satan proposed was producing the result while bypassing the relationship that grounds it. The words were right, the posture was entirely wrong.
Verse 30. Upon the lion and the cobra you will tread. You will trample the young lion and the serpent. Lion represents overt aggression, the attack you see coming. Cobra represents hidden poison, the strike you do not see. Both are placed under the feet of the sheltered one. Jesus echoed this language when he said to his disciples in Luke 10, I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions. The authority is not earned by human strength. It flows from the covenant.
Section 5, verses 14 to 16.
Because he clings to me, I will rescue him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He will call to me, and I will answer him. I am with him in distress. I will rescue him and honor him. With length of days I will satisfy him, and I will show him my salvation.
For 13 verses, the psalmist has been speaking about God. Now everything shifts. The speaker changes. It is no longer a human voice describing divine protection. It is God himself who speaks. And what he says is the heart of everything that preceded it.
Verse 14. Because he clings to me, I will rescue him, I will set him on high, because he has known my name. Two Hebrew words carry the full weight of this verse. The first is hashik, he clings to me. This is not casual affection. It is not religious observance. Hashik means to cling, to bind yourself to someone, to attach with a love that does not let go. It is marriage covenant language. And here is what so many sermons on this psalm miss. This word appears in Deuteronomy 7 verse 7, where it is God who hashik toward Israel, God who clung to his people, not because they were great, but because he chose to. The worshipper's clinging is an answer to God's prior clinging. The initiative belongs to God. The sheltered one does not activate a mechanism. He responds to a love that was already there. The second word is yada, he has known my name. In Hebrew, yada is not intellectual knowledge. It is not theological information about God. It is the knowledge that comes from relationship, from encounter, from having actually dwelt in the secret place. The same word is used of the deepest human intimacy. To know the name is to know the person, relationally, experientially, from the inside. This is what the entire psalm has been building toward. The protection described in verses 3 to 13 is grounded here. Not in reciting the right words. Not in technique. In this, a life oriented toward God in clinging love, and a knowing of Him that comes from actually dwelling with Him.
Verse 15. He will call to me and I will answer him. I am with him in distress, I will rescue him and honor him. Notice what this verse does not say. It does not say, I will keep him from distress. It says, I am with him in distress. The Hebrew word is tsara, which means narrowness, constriction, the experience of being hemmed in with no way out. The covenant does not promise the absence of storms. It promises presence in them, rescue through them, honor after them. This is the honest answer to the question many people bring to this psalm. I have prayed these words and trouble still came. The psalm does not promise a trouble-free life. It promises God will be with us, particularly when things get tough. The Lord with him in tsara, not watching from a distance but present in the narrowest place.
Verse 16. With length of days I will satisfy him, and I will show him my salvation. The psalm ends not with a formula but with a promise of satisfaction, not merely long life, but a life that arrives at its end having seen what God does. The Hebrew word for salvation here is Yeshua, which is also the name of Jesus in Hebrew. The final word of the psalm is salvation itself. The psalm ends where it began, in the shelter. But now the shelter speaks. The one who was described as dwelling in the secret place in verse 1 has heard the voice of the one whose secret place it is. The protection was never a mechanism. It was always a relationship.
Psalm 91. A teaching.